histories of land theft, erasure, and oppression that have brought our institution and ourselves here today. The Art at Noon lectures are supported by the Barron family in memory of Rose Susan Hirshorn Barron, a former docent at the Academy and a great supporter of its educational programs. Thank you to the Barron family. I'm sure we're all looking forward to this conversation, but I ask that everybody make sure that your audio is on mute during the presentation. There's going to be plenty of time afterwards for questions. You can unmute yourself in that time or ask the questions in the chat. Thank you very much for that. We are so lucky to have two extraordinary and multi-talented and incredibly fluid and smart human beings here today to lead our conversation. Christiana Cruz-Council was until recently PAFA's museum coordinator. But while she was here, she discovered a passion for public education, led private tours and public tours in the PAFA collection. This show that we're talking about today, Strange Sensations, the Startling and the Surreal in PAFA's permanent collection, is her curatorial debut. And it's on view through April 2023. If you haven't been able to see the exhibition, I recommend to come and visit. I've been with a lot of people who have walked through this exhibition and no one has left unmoved. So I hope you can come and see it. She's also co-curated an exhibition that's about to open in mid-September called Evade and Ensnare, Decorative Illusionism in Historic and Contemporary Painting. And her co-curator is Juan Omar Rodriguez. Dr. Sami Khella is the chief of the Department of Neurology at Penn Presbyterian Medical Center and a professor of clinical neurology, and is a Philadelphia-based artist and with an eclectic history. He was born in Egypt to a wonderful artist, his mother Mary. He grew up living with her large, colorful, otherworldly gouache and oil paintings of the Nile River and its native inhabitants. In the 1970s, Khella studied with Neil Welliver in the Graduate School of Fine Arts at the University of Pennsylvania, and in the 2000s, he spent time with the late and generous Hitoshi Nagasato, making prints. Khella draws his inspiration from his family, especially his wife, Dorothy, who pops up everywhere in his work. For him, making art is a way to express those feelings and emotions that can't be encapsulated and described in words. So as you can see, neither of these fit neatly into any sort of defined categories. They're continuously expanding their boundaries. And I believe the two of you have actually crossed paths before you crossed paths for this conversation. I'm going to leave it over to you, and I'm going to bring up the slideshow as soon as you guys are ready.
Okay. Yes, Dr. Khella and I sort of worked in the same department before I came aboard to PAFA and before the pandemic took hold. I worked for Penn Neurology scheduling for him, actually, and that was before I knew what a wonderful artist he was. And then lo and behold, here we are, our paths cross again. I think that we can get started. What do you think, Dr. Khella?
I think I'm just impressed and delighted with you, and thank you for asking me to do this. Sure.
Absolutely. So I thought that maybe we could start off with just a really brief overview of Strange Sensations if you haven't actually been able to see the show. So it's an exhibition that explores the startling and surreal and sometimes a little more disturbing works that are in PAFA's permanent collection. A lot of these works are the artist's expression of, trauma that they themselves have experienced or society as a whole is experiencing together. And, that hurt that they're expressing really could stem from one of four places. It could be psychological, they could be thinking a lot about death and violence, they could be thinking about the reality of the situations that society is dealing with as a whole, or perhaps maybe they're grappling with some spiritual hardships or questions. And I think that the show really sort of examines how when people are able to become more vulnerable and express themselves through their artwork, you can really find the beauty at the center of all of that hurt and really examine the beauty of that expression as a whole. And Dr. Khella and I are here today to really sort of think more about the artwork of expression and how the artwork that's featured in Strange Sensation and Dr. Khella's artwork sort of have a similar theme of exploring vulnerability. So this work here that's on display is Linda Alter's Pain, Pain, Fear, Fear, Fear. And as you can see, I have included a poem that she wrote herself to accompany the works that are in the series. The series is a part of, and Dr. Khella, correct me if I'm wrong, she was diagnosed with
Trigeminal neuralgia, yes.
Thank you. Trigeminal
It's always a
neuralgia.
mouthful.
Yeah, it is. That's a hard one to say. She did a series of works, about 10 pieces that are about the same size, that explore the pain that she experiences all throughout the left side of her body. And this poem that she wrote really highlights the fear and the pain around the diagnosis. And then the other works sort of go into the seasonal ebbs and flows of that pain. Alter is really just grappling with the fact that she has this diagnosis, but then also the physical and capacities that she's realizing, the limitations now that she has with living with chronic fear and chronic pain.
So if I could just say, Christiana, trigeminal neuralgia, for people who you probably get a very good idea from the painting, is a terrible pain syndrome that people get in the one side of their face. And it's, sort of, as the arrows show, this electrical, very brief bolt of lightning that stops people dead in their tracks for just a second. And then it's gone. But you never know when it's going to come. It can come when you brush your teeth or eat, or just for no apparent reason. And it's really just a debilitating pain, even though it's a very short-lasting pain. Anyway, hopefully that gives it a little context.
Yes, absolutely. And Alter also speaks a little bit about the fact that there isn't much relief found in any like medications or the surgery that some patients choose to undergo. Dr. Khella?
Yes?
Would you agree with that?
I would completely, yeah. I mean, there's, you treat this with medications, you try to treat it with surgery. Most people, you can get the pain under control and have, and that they can have a quality of life, but it can be debilitating and life-altering, really. So quite severe.
Absolutely. We talked before, and you even mentioned how it is to be a doctor and how it is to experience people at their most vulnerable and when they're in this state of fear and of pain. And you mentioned to me also that you sort of highlight this in some of your work.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have a unique perspective as an artist by being a doctor, and even though my work, as we'll show later, doesn't really necessarily reflect what happens in my daily life, but it does reflect, unlike some of these artists in this show, but it does reflect kind of the anguish that seeps into me from seeing patients for all these years, and for the reason why I'm a doctor, which is why I became a doctor, is to help people feel better. But you can't help but lose a piece of yourself, every time you see a patient, even though you try not to. But I think it's invariable that it happens. And so I have great empathy for my patients, and understand, I think, from a slightly different perspective than others, what it's like to be a patient.
Absolutely. Lori, I think this would be a great segue into the next slide. So this is Perlin's The Leg. It actually goes hand in hand with the operating room, which was once in PAFA's care. But Perlin was a correspondent in World War II, and he would often send pieces back to the government so that they could be used for propaganda and posters and whatnot. And this was a piece that he did of an actual occurrence where he was used to assist in a surgery, assist in a leg amputation. And I included this piece actually because I got a call one day when I was the museum coordinator, and the son of this gentleman who lost his leg in World War II was visiting in Philadelphia, and the two of them really insisted upon coming into PAFA and seeing this piece in person. His father felt very strongly, and it was very, very emotional for both of them to come into the presence of his leg after not seeing it for so many years. And both of them just felt a really strong pull, as well as the other family members. He came with a group to being in the presence of his leg again and sort of revisiting the moment of trauma for him that Perlin so perfectly captured. And Dr. Khella, you spoke to me before about revisiting, your work and sort of thinking more about previous traumas, but then also evolving from that.
Yes, it's not only that, but you see this and you also realize that this patient and this person has had to accommodate to that disability and to this loss. It brings to mind just what people have to do to get on in life. But of course, these kinds of traumas are, while they are raw initially, never really leave you in any way. I mean, there's always that pain, and that certainly is just below the surface at all times, I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely. I think this piece perfectly encapsulates that feeling of phantom leg that a lot of amputees will sort of grapple with throughout their life. And I unfortunately wasn't able to be there while he was in the presence of the piece. But I can only imagine, just from the phone call and from setting up and coordinating that visit, how important it was for him to see it again. And, perhaps it was something that allowed him to, come to the truth of that situation and hopefully, heal some part of that trauma, which I'm sure also was very traumatic for the artist, being there live in person and not being a doctor at all.
Well, and you can also imagine, and this painting sort of brings that up, this whole idea of phantom pain, which in people who are who have had an amputation will feel the pain like a very real pain, even though the limb is not there. And it's to the point where you need to give the patient sometimes narcotics because the pain is so severe. But that really kind of also translates into the more emotional pain, or the other kinds of phantom pain, if you will, for people who have other illnesses of different, even though they're not, the well-defined phantom pain syndrome. But patients who have had a loss of one sort or another will have these severe pains that are really not quantifiable in any way, and not even sort of visualizable, if you will, as this painting sort of visualizes or makes you think of what a phantom pain could be like.
Absolutely. Yeah. Lori, I think we can go to the next. And you know, speaking on pains and pores, when we discussed this piece before, you really pointed out to me the two skulls there, and the fact that one there is sawn in half.
Yes, so this is an old piece of mine, and I think it's sort of a recurrent theme in my work. There is always sort of a horror show going on back there in the background. The skulls were they actually have a personal meaning for me. My father was a physician, and when he was a student, he used these skulls in medical school, and these skulls were actually given to him by his older brother, who was also a physician and also had used them. So when he moved to this country, he brought them with him because you know, they were sort of part of his collection of stuff that he lived with. But you know, when you look at these skulls in my studio, and they've been sitting around now for, you know, I've had them all my life. He gave them to me when I was in school, you know, but they sort of encapsulate a whole lot of ideas all at once. The palette on the right, I don't know. It's just a palette on the right, kind of running away. I don't know what it's doing.
I thought this piece really worked so well with the others. It really could have been, you know, fit right into the show. It could have been one of our feature pieces. And I was really struck by what you sort of mentioned to me before, about how, you know, the graphic and sort of, you know, more gruesome nature of these skulls is something that it really comes from a learning tool. It's not anything really meant for you personally. It's not really anything that is very scary or disturbing, but to a viewer, they might bring that in themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, the wonderful thing about you know, about pieces that are not very literal is that you can just, you know, you bring in your own life into and your own life experience into the work, and you know, and have it reflect your own thoughts and feelings, which is I guess that's really sort of the theme of my art, is not to be very literal about anything, and to have the viewer you know, participate in the feelings that are brought out by the work.
Absolutely. And one of the feelings that I know you mentioned to me that you tend to, I guess, be thinking about when creating your works is how vulnerable it is to be a physician and an artist.
Yes, I mean, you know, as I said before, I have such empathy for my patients, because, you know, being a patient is a very lonely journey. It's really, you're by yourself, and no matter what, it's no matter how kind people are to you and helpful and giving. It remains a very lonely journey.
Absolutely. You know, you can see a bit of that loneliness, I think, when you're thinking about how it feels to exhibit as an artist and sort of put yourself on display. You're sort of handing yourself over to the audience at that point, and offering yourself up, you know, into their hands in the same way that a patient might offer themselves up into yours.
Yes, exactly. You know, it is a little bit embarrassing for me to exhibit my work because you do bare your soul a bit, And I'm not that kind of person. So, there is sort of a little bit of a paradox and irony in showing my work. And I really don't know much about, as I said, sort of, as Lori mentioned in the introduction, I can't really put my work in words. It's not literal work. And so I'll just leave it at that.
I think that's a perfect segue into the next slide, Lori.
Can I just ask, Mary Ellen asked a question in the chat, and I think we can put it up right now because it's going to come up later, I think. The skulls are human remains. Why were they in a medical collection? Was the person too poor to afford a burial or ended up as a heuristic device? Did the people donate their bodies?
So these are, I don't know how old these are. These are very, very old. Like I said, my father graduated from medical school in 1944. His older brother was older than him by a few years, and these were given to him by his older brother. So I have no idea the provenance of these skulls, and they're not from here. They're actually from Egypt. So I don't know.
All right, thank you. There we go.
So I think in thinking a little bit more about that vulnerability, about that anxiety that it's felt when exhibiting, but also just when, maneuvering through daily life. We have Tucker's piece here, Boys. He was, amazing at conveying the social anxiety that I think everyone feels at some point in time. And here we don't know if the anxiety is coming from an outside force, or perhaps it's something inside, because these two are mirror images of one another. However, I really feel like this piece is pretty fearsome. It really evokes a lot of feelings of fear. There's an exchange happening, but you aren't quite sure. So you're just sort of left in suspense as a viewer. You're just sort of hanging in the bounds, what is this person on the right going to say to the left? And so, you also mention a lot how in your work there's always something looming, which I think Tucker is really sort of thinking all about, looming presences and feeling haunted. And you talked to me a little bit about that, about how there are usually presences in your pieces that are looming and haunting.
Well, yes, my imagery usually is, something fairly obvious, as you saw in the back. But then there are all these figures that come into the background and kind of jump around and put in their own 2 cents. So.
And you sort of conveyed to me that was almost inspired by the feeling of being haunted, as in by artistry, by being a painter.
Yes, I think so. I mean, I think understanding and seeing so many people who tell me, sort of some of their most intimate thoughts and fears. Invariably these populate my and furnish my my imagination.
Absolutely. Lori, can we have the next slide? So here's one piece that I was really struck by, this figure in the doorway. That's sort of, are they fleeing?
Yeah, I have no idea what this picture is all about. I painted it a long time ago, and these people sort of kept showing up into the work. So I don't know. There's sort of a collection of haunting figures who come and go, and some musicians and.
Yeah, absolutely. Is that an easel there?
Yeah, that's an easel. Yeah, easels are sort of a frequent theme of mine, I think. I guess just they support me and help me out, and so they're there for moral support.
Yes, absolutely. Was this one that was painted over a number of years?
Well, all my work, so long as it's in my studio, I always go back and try to finish it. I don't think they're ever finished until they leave the studio, because, they're kind of like your children. Your children don't just sit still. They grow up and evolve over time, and they change as you change, and you change as they change. And my paintings are like that. People come in and out of them over the years, and they change, and they're just never done until I get rid of them.
And thinking about that easel there too, Lori, can we have the next? Meshi is also sort of contemplating his work as an artist through the imagery of this burning easel. He was a McCarthy era artist. He was for 26 years being watched by the FBI. And so I really see a lot of his persecution here embodied in this piece, where you were feeling very supported by your easel. I think that he was feeling scrutinized by his work with his. And so, there were those who were really not perceiving his artwork the way that maybe he was intending it to be perceived. And he sort of describes this work as imminent doom. And I think thinking a little bit more about that, a little bit more about how that vulnerability can maybe also manifest some unwarranted scrutiny. There are so many times when, as an artist, I'm sure it was difficult to really open yourself up to the public eye for a little bit of fear. Like you said, it's sort of embarrassing, but at the same time, I'm sure it can also be incredibly freeing.
Yeah, so I mean, this is a really powerful piece. As a burning easel is really kind of a very really creepy image, quite honestly. And I think it can symbolize so many things, and on so many levels, and especially if you say this was done in with McCarthy era in mind, and it's really very powerful.
It is. It definitely is. It's incredibly moving. I'm thinking a little bit more about what he had in mind. Lori, can we go to the next? I wanted to include this piece here. We talked a little bit about what inspires this artist in particular. He had a very hard childhood with death constantly being sort of thrust upon him. He grew up in a fishing village in Spain, and there were, sailors who unfortunately met their demise at sea, and they would wash upon shore, and the entire village would really just have to grapple with loss constantly, as this was their main means for survival. They would have to brave the sea yet again. And he was very much inspired also by Goya. And so that's why we see a lot of dark imagery here, some religious undertones, and, loss is really being thought about and expressed. And so I know that you were talking to me just a little bit about who inspires you and why exactly you chose, maybe even some of the palettes that you chose. So this one working in a very dark and grim palette. Can you talk to me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so my inspiration for many pieces, it comes from just my experience in life, and the people that I'm with, and the people that I'm with are mostly my family. And as Lori said in the beginning, I've grown up with my mom's paintings, and she paints these very large, colorful scenes, and so she and I, of course, trade ideas all the time about work, and so she's a wonderful inspiration for me that way. Also, her imagination is she's a very eclectic person as well. And then, of course, there's Dorothy, my wife, who is really just sort of my rock, really. And so Dorothy's we just celebrated our 35th wedding anniversary. So for almost 40 years that I've known her now, has always popped into my work all over the place. And so this is that's kind of what informs my stuff.
Lori, can we get the next?
There she is.
Yes. This is a beautiful piece. I was so happy to hear that you were so inspired by her. And I think you were especially inspired by your mother in another piece that we have later on in the presentation. But it's just absolutely beautiful. Lori, can we go to the next super quickly, and then we'll come back there. Me and Dr. Khella sort of noticed that compositionally these two pieces have something very similar, with like a very dark figure that is sort of leaned back there a little bit, but definitely two different inspirations. This is really the staple piece of the show. This is Nicholas Africano's Liberty, and it came from his Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde series that definitely inspired the name of the show and the tone of Strange Sensations. I really enjoyed looking at the duality that is featured in so many of the pieces, and the fact that you can have something that is so just terrifying and yet absolutely beautiful. So I included the entire quote here if you get a chance to read. And it, a portion of it is included in the text that's in the show. But I think the entire thing is really what encapsulates the show, because it is definitely a lot of horror, but and yet a very incredibly, sweet novelty. So, in going back to Dr. Khella's work, on this slide before, actually.
Right. So this etching was, so Dorothy likes to read, and so she's my favorite model because she just sits there, and there's me kind of stalking around in the back there, and then I don't know what this shadow is. There's always some shadow around, I guess. It's sort of part of life, and I don't know. That's kind of that etching.
Absolutely.
This is from a long time ago.
Absolutely. Actually, this is that Africano piece, Lori, if you want to go to that one again, is actually, from earlier in his career. And eventually he does become very, very inspired by his wife. He mostly works in sculpture now, but he's also one who, his wife is really his muse. But like you were saying, I do think that this piece really highlights how haunted and yet freeing you can feel at the same time, which is, I think, something that you were thinking about in the piece before. That haunted figure is always looming, but you're having such a sweet moment with your wife at the same time.
Yes. I mean, this is a really powerful piece. I don't think the audience can really appreciate the scale of this painting. It's a very big painting. And the figure is a little figure in there, and he's kind of looking up. It's really, it's a very, it's a very cool piece. But you really have to see this in real life to get its full flavor.
Absolutely. So you hear that, everyone? If you have,
That's right.
so.
Absolutely.
It's actually got a lot of sculptural elements to it. Like the nose is sort of protruding out of the canvas, and it is really stunning in person. You can really see the texture, and I think you can absolutely almost feel like the figure is just coming right out at you. The emotion felt is really intense when you see it in person. Yes, so I think we can go on to the next. This one is incredibly gruesome and gory, and it's very surprising to people who are fans of Sidney Goodman at just how gory it is. And I think it just really lends itself to the fact that Goodman was sort of grappling with the end of the war at this point, and really highlighting how expressionistic he needed to be in order to come to terms with everything, all of the trauma that was felt both during the war and after, when people were coming home, hence the title there, Homecoming. And then if you go on to the next, Lori, I just wanted to sort of show Goodman's, his usual work. This is, I think, one of his, most well-known pieces. And so people, again, they are very, very surprised to see that work from 1959, when this is the Goodman that they know very well. While he, did work and sort of like a realist palette, I think that his other work, the Homecoming piece, just highlights just how emotional and really, again, expressionistic that he really needed to be in order to grapple with just how many traumatic events had occurred during and after the war. And so if we go on to the next one, I think Dr. Khella, you were telling me about this piece here, how it really highlights fear, and how you were thinking a lot about, sorrows and hope.
Right. I mean, and this, this quote, as I said, sort of floats around in my head all the time, because I do have a lot of dear friends, and when I do think of them, they do restore some of my losses from time to time, and improve my sorrows, if not end them.
Absolutely.
And I think this piece is sort of the same kind of thing. There is some elements of hope in there, but there's there's some ugly stuff too.
Absolutely. And would you say that painting and your artistry is a way that you restore hope?
Yes, I think so. I think art is always, for me, restorative. If not only to just release some of the sadness that I see. Sometimes if you just put it down on canvas, it kind of evaporates like smoke from you. I hope, until the next time.
Right, absolutely. Lori, can we actually really quickly just go back to the Goodman piece? Just before we move on, there was something I really wanted to highlight about your work, and the fact that you don't necessarily name them. You don't title them, and that's because you want the audience to come into the work and bring in their own, I guess, like critical eye. And that was something that Goodman also has said before. So I just wanted to sort of think more about that with you, and why maybe it was important for you to continue not to title your works.
Yes. So I find it very hard. First of all, I always feel that I'm not a very articulate person. And so to try to peg some of these complex thoughts and images into some poetic title is far beyond my capacity. And so I prefer that I not peg and pigeon a work that's not whose meaning is liquid and changing. And one person can come in and see a lot of fun and happy stuff in it, and somebody else can see something that's not so. And so I feel that a title for me is inadequate to and easier for me not probably maybe it's just lazy to not name it.
Well, I think that was beautifully said. So I would not agree that you're not as articulate. I think that was wonderfully put. So Lori, I think we can go to the very last slide, because I just wanted to highlight here some of your own duality. This piece is just so beautiful. Can we dive into it a little bit? Sure.
So this is a painting inspired by again my family. So there's my daughter looks like my wife. Who looks like, and so I guess this face is a sort of a combination of the two of them. In the background are pigeon towers. So these I stole from a painting from my mom as I did the palm trees, and the pigeon towers are ancient Egyptian clay towers that farmers build to house their pigeons in them. So these are very tall structures, but they're all made of mud. I like water. I like sailboats, so I stuck a sailboat in there. Actually, there's my mom has a very beautiful, very large gouache piece of sailors on the Nile pulling a felucca. So feluccas are these ancient sailboats that Egyptians would haul stuff up and down the Nile in, and this is sort of a stripped down version of a felucca. It's not really a felucca. It's just a boat that I happen to like. But also boats are the imagery is a little bit sexual as well, and sex is an important part of life and art, and so it shows up in there too, and shows up in a lot of my work. So there's a whole lot going on here, and again, no title.
That's important. Yeah, I love this piece when Dr. Khella first showed it to me. I just thought it was really important to end with something that sort of sparked a little bit more joy.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, as opposed to the more heavy pieces that we were just discussing. Lori, should we take some questions?
Yeah, I think we should start. If anybody has a question, you can unmute yourself or raise your hand and unmute yourself, or you can put it in the chat and we'll be glad to read it out. I'm looking.
To answer one question that was in the chat, yes, Mary, that quote was Dr. Jekyll becoming Mr. Hyde.
I have one thing I just want to say. Wanted to say I'm a graduate of PAFA, and I was a patient at HUP. Dr. Marcotte saved my life. I have a shunt in my head, so I know all the things that you're talking about, Dr. Khella, and what you go through with all the stress and, the College of Physicians did a wonderful presentation with PAFA with Dr. Anjan Chatterjee, and he did a presentation. This was 2005. I had a craniectomy, a traumatic brain injury from a horseback riding accident. And Dr. Marcotte did the craniectomy, and they didn't think I'd be able to paint again and do realistic artwork. And I was able to do portraits and everything, which surprised all the doctors. And it took a while for me to get back to doing realistic, but I was able to do portraits and everything again. And my work was still pretty much the same, but it was interesting to see the progression. And Dr. Chatterjee had students work with me, and so I know what you're talking about, like all the things that go on in your mind, and and I've been in this show that Bryn Mawr Rehab Hospital does every year called Art Ability for people with all kinds of disabilities, and I teach art to disabled artists and all the things they go through. And a lot of them start with doing very dark pieces of artwork. And, color plays an important role in what they're feeling, and sculpture and the whole thing. It's really interesting what the work, comes out as. And music also plays an important role with art and healing and the whole process. And the portrait behind me of that guy, he was a big part of, he's an old friend of mine, Clarence Clemens, and he was going through some health problems. And I did this portrait when he died. And he was the first one to call me when I got out of the hospital. And we had a lot of interesting conversations about, art, music, and art is great for the soul when you're not well, definitely. But it's interesting with brain injury and the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain. And you guys are great, all the doctors at Penn, and the work you do. And Marcotte is a wonderful doctor.
He is.
He really is. And the work Chatterjee's doing, is incredible. But he was really surprised to see, because he did this talk he did at the College of Physicians was on a PAFA artist and his work. And I think he had, I can't remember the artist's name, but he passed away from a stroke. I forget his name.
Yeah.
But he went from a realistic portrait artist to abstract portrait artist. But it's interesting to see the different types after somebody has an injury, to see how their work progresses. And my work is kind of impressionistic, and it hasn't changed, that much. It's actually interesting.
Thank you. We have a few more questions. Carol, you have your hand up. Do you want to unmute?
Yes, I'd be happy to. I just wanted to comment how fascinating I found this presentation to be. Thank you all very much. for what you did present. But I took part, I live in the Princeton, New Jersey area, and I took part in an exhibit in which we were to do an embroidery, and it was called Interwoven Stories. And mine was very simple, and it said, "Art is life." And I feel very strongly about that as an artist, and hearing the input today about the feelings that come through trauma and injury and memory and so forth is just fits in with that saying, I feel.
That goes right along with Catherine's question, Dr. Khella. Do you think being an artist has helped you be a better physician?
I think just trying to be a better human being makes you a better artist, a better physician.
Who are the artists that most inspired you?
Oh my goodness. You know, as the cliche goes, a good artist borrows from other artists. A great artist steals. So I like to steal from everybody.
That's great. Are there any other questions from folks? We're gonna, Rachel from the College of Physicians in Philadelphia is gonna present a little bit at the end. We have about 3 minutes. Are there more questions?
You know, I would just love to say too, thank you, Deb and Carol, for your comments. There's been a lot of research about, you know, the positive effects that artwork and art making have on people going through, you know, mental health crises or even bodily trauma as well. And so it's wonderful to just hear that, you know, all of you, you know, every artist, even the ones featured in Strange Sensations, are just working through and allowing others to, you know, be enveloped in their artwork, so then they themselves heal as well, even though they're not the ones doing the art making. They're able to really, you know, heal just from viewing your artwork and your ability to be vulnerable and your ability to pursue art making, even after going through something so traumatic.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a long haul, and I talked to former presidents of PAFA and people at PAFA about the work. And, you know, I did a show at the Cape Cod Museum of Art with PAFA alumni that I organized with Allison Campbell, and, you know, to raise awareness on PAFA and the work PAFA does. And, you know, it's really important for people to know how important, you know, art is, and healing and art and all the things that come out of art. It's expression, you know, and it does really help. And, you know, Bryn Mawr Rehab Hospital, all the rehab hospital, you know, it's a great form of expression, and music too.
Absolutely.
Definitely. And your work's beautiful, Dr. Khella.
Thank you.
Really nice. Thank you. Great presentation. And if you guys needed me to talk at any time about it, it's really wonderful, the work you're doing. I'm on Cape Cod, but if I'm in Philly, I'll let you know.
Thank you so much. I would like to hand it over to Rachel, but I just wanted to see if Dr. Khella and Christiana, if you have anything left that you'd like to add to this, because I agree it's been a very moving, and I felt quite honored when you talked about the man who, I forget his name, the man who did the painting of the legs, that PAFA is an institution that preserves and holds this work and makes it accessible to all. And it's an important and valuable space. And I just felt really gratified that from that story, that his family could reconnect and be around this painting.
Yeah, absolutely. It was an honor to just receive the call, and PAFA is absolutely an institution that will go above and beyond for those looking to access artwork, especially one with such a personal connection.
Yeah.
No, I just thank everybody. This is, you're all wonderful and very supportive. And this was an amazing opportunity to say stuff that I never say.
It was so amazing. Thank you so much for everyone for being here, and thank you, Dr. Khella. It was nice to talk to you and get to highlight your artwork.
Thank you both. Rachel, before everybody goes, I wanted to introduce Rachel from the College of Physicians of Philadelphia. And she has just wanted to tell you about what's happening at the Winter Museum and in the college, and it's coming up. Rachel, you want to take the floor?
Sure, thank
Yay.
you. Thank you, Dr. Khella and Christiana, for this really meaningful conversation. And Christiana, I'm amazed that Strange Sensations is your curatorial debut. So I wanted to say that, and it's really impressive. Thank you, Lori, for reaching out to us to partner. As Lori mentioned, my name is Rachel Erkowitz, and I am the event manager for the College of Physicians. For those of you who don't know, the College of Physicians of Philadelphia is one of the oldest medical societies in the country. And we were founded in 1787 by 24 physicians to better serve the public and lessen human misery. You can go to the next slide. Perfect. Thank you. No, I'm sorry, one back. So this is actually a photo of our current building on 22nd Street. We've been here for a little over 100 years, since 1908, I believe. And as I mentioned, we're the oldest medical society in the country. Some of our founding physicians include founding fathers, such as Benjamin Rush, signer of the Declaration of Independence. You can go to the next one, please. And today, our fellowship has grown from 24 physicians to over 1,500 physicians and healthcare workers, all with the same goal to serve the public and lessen human misery. And Dr. Khella is one of those physicians, so we're really glad to have him here today. You can go one more. As our fellowship grew, fellows began to donate their individual collections. And I know this came up in the chat. It was actually not uncommon nor illegal for much of history for physicians to have their own personal teaching collection, similar to how Dr. Khella mentioned his father had a few items. And so in the 1850s, Dr. Thomas Dent-Mutter donated his large teaching collection of about 1,700 objects to the college. And Dr. Mutter was determined to improve and reform medical education and stipulate that the college hire a curator, maintain and expand the collection, fund annual lectures, and more. So today, his collection is the basis for the Mutter Museum, which you see here. Today, we have over 25,000 objects, so we've grown just a little bit. And we welcome over 130,000 visitors annually. Over the college's 200-year-old history, we've become a place for medical professionals and the public to learn about medicine as both a science and an art. And I think that's really important to highlight for today. So if you were to come visit us over on 22nd Street, what would you find? Well, we have America's finest museum of medical history, displaying a collection of anatomical specimens, models, and medical instruments. And I think for this talk, it's really important to highlight that in addition to human remains, much of our collection is comprised of artistic models and illustrations, often used to teach medical history. Go one more, please. If you come visit us, you'll also have access to our Benjamin Rush medicinal plant garden. And I find that people are really surprised when they see this beautiful, tranquil garden in the heart of Center City. It was established in 1937. As the garden contains more than 60 different herbs that have historical and sometimes even contemporary medicinal value. Benjamin Rush urged the college to maintain a medicinal garden as a natural way to replenish their medicine chests. And it took a little while, about 150 years, but we finally do have that beautiful garden. One more, please. In addition to the garden, we have our historical medical library that was actually established in 1788. And it is the oldest independent medical library in the country and contains more than 400 incunabula, which are editions printed before 1501. Our earliest book dates to 1220, actually. Over the 200 years, the library has been closed to the public, but available for researchers and medical professionals. And we actually just changed this. For the first time in 200 years, the public can now visit the library. It's included in your museum ticket on Saturdays and Sundays. So I highly recommend checking it out. It's extremely impressive. Next slide, please. In addition to the library, we have launched the History of Vaccines website and using a lot of the information found in our library. The website aims to increase public knowledge and understand the ways in which vaccines have developed and played a role in the improvement of human health. And so that's something newer we have that we're really excited about. Next, please. And in addition to all of that, that wasn't enough. We also have a Center for Education that develops programming to educate and inform aspiring healthcare professionals, as well as high school students, and much more. And then lastly, because we have more to do, we have over 70 public programs throughout the year. You might remember that I mentioned that one of Dr. Muter's stipulations was to have public lectures. And so we do that in addition to public health lectures. We have author talks, we do botanical drawing classes, historical happy hours, movie nights in our garden, and our annual Halloween party, Mischief at the Muter. So we have a lot of things. Our website is constantly changing and updating with new events. So I encourage you to check that out. I'll drop our website in the chat as well. And I think part of what makes our organization so special is going back to our fellowship, which Dr. Khella is among, and one of our newer fellows. So I'd like to thank Dr. Khella once again, and Christiana, of course, for today's program. Thank you all for attending Art at Noon, and we look forward to seeing you at future PAFA and College of Physician events. Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone. See you next time. Have a great day.
Thank you again.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.